What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Happy Skews Day, the first one in a while. It's been a minute. This is the first time in 3 weeks. I'm not good at we've had two shows off because of Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, and we're back. The first Skews of 2025. And I'm Trey. That's Mark. We're coming to you from the depths of hell. That's right. We're out here in the Los Angeles area in Southern California, parts of which are on fire, but we're used to that. It happens all the time. Not in this part of the year, but yeah, we'll be okay. And we're here. Mark, how you doing over there?
Good, man. What'd you call it? I'm in the more peaceful zone. You're in the middle. What'd you call it? A fire hurricane?
A dry hurricane. It could turn into a fire hurricane very quickly,
Yeah.
apparently. But yeah, if y'all don't know what we're talking about, there's like insane level winds blowing out here, and everything's dry. It's so this is supposed to be the rainy season in Southern California, January and February. The past two rainy seasons have been very, very, very rainy indeed, which has been awesome. But I remember I brought it up to Mark, I think, on this show, talking about how awesome it was like last year, whatever. And Mark was like, actually, they say that can lead to a much larger amount of foliage and greenery that when it does dry out presents a much higher fire hazard. And I was like, okay, Mark, that sounds good. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at right now. That's what has happened. So
yeah, this is the rainy season, and the wildfire season is typically September, October. But so this fire can't be happening because climate change isn't real, except climate change is real, which is why we have to invade Canada and Greenland, which was what we're going to be talking about later.
Naturally.
As I was telling you earlier, the funniest part to me of the local fire coverage was like the TV news was like stopped some guy in a mask who was like coordinating like a civilian, like a neighborhood response to like the wildfires. And who's wearing a mask? He pulled down his mask, and it was Steve Gutenberg. So if you're wondering what he's doing, he's being a hero.
I have genuinely been wondering what Steve. Not all the time, but periodically, I'll be like, I wonder what Steve Gutenberg's doing. But because did you mention that this fire we're talking, the biggest fire that's happening right now, the main one, it's in the Pacific Palisades neighborhood, right? Which is like that's one of the nicest neighborhoods. It's a fancy ass neighborhood. So it makes sense that Steve Gutenberg would be there.
I'm glad he saved his money and he can have a house in the Palisades. But before we get to the show, moving on from wildfires to another civilization destroying calamity. Let's talk about artificial intelligence for a second. This guy, first funny story. This tech exec by the name of Mike Johns posted a video online that went viral. He was stuck in a Waymo robotaxi. He was trying to fly back from Scottsdale to Los Angeles, and the robotaxi was just circling a parking lot to the degree that he almost missed his flight. All right. So
it's easy to do at LAX, dude. You just find yourself in an endless loop sometimes, thinking like, I'm never going to make. Oh, he was coming to LA from Scott. I'm not familiar with the Scottsdale airport.
Me neither. So he posted a video of himself driving in circles in this robotaxi, talking to a quote-unquote customer service rep who could not help him or figure out what the fuck was wrong with the car. Now, the funny twist in here is he works in artificial intelligence, and all I want, to the bottom of my heart, is for that customer service rep to have been an AI that was created by his company that he was arguing with while he was stuck in a fucking robotaxi. That's all I want in this world is to find out that he's caused his own problem. I fucking hate this shit so much.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot. Well, I saw I was in Hollywood one day for a thing, and I saw 3 or 4 different Waymos in a short span. And then I went to San Francisco, and I saw a bunch up there. And this is obviously not as bad as what happened to Mr. Johns here, but I saw 2 Waymos in San Francisco and Fisherman's Wharf cause not a accident, but a huge bottleneck backup because they got confused at each other in the middle of an intersection. They just stopped in the middle of an intersection and neither one of them knew what to do. So they were just sitting there and people were stuck behind them and getting out of their cars and going up and looking like they're going to do anything. There's no fucking driver in the car. What do you do about it? People are taking pictures and stuff. So seems to be kind of a work in progress, this driverless car thing they're working on.
Human drivers are fucking suck too. I understand that.
Of course.
These things are a huge problem for first responders. They block ambulances and fire trucks all the fucking time. And so if they worked, it'd be great. It'd probably be safer than human drivers if there were all these robots were coordinating with each other. But they don't quite work yet. So why the fuck on the road blocking firefighters is my question. and nobody can answer it. So
do you think
there we go.
well, let me ask you, do you think this is an answer? I don't know. I'm saying, do you think it's the type of thing where in order to get to the place where they do work that way and it solves all traffic problems and all that works, you have to at some point put them out there in a small degree to make it there,
To make an omelet, you got to break a few grannies dying in ambulances.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Got to
That's
kill a
certainly the
few
thought.
grannies in a car fire if you want to make an
Yeah,
omelet. Yeah.
that's certainly the thought process. Except that me and you did not sign up to be part of a beta test, so
Right.
there's always that part of it. Um, uh, so I want to quote here from that guy Mike Johns. I can't get out of the car. Has this been hacked? What is going on? I feel like I'm in the movies. Is somebody playing a joke on me? Yes, buddy, you're playing the joke
yourself.
on everyone.
Yes,
yes,
exactly.
yes.
Yeah, DJ. Yeah, congratulations, you played yourself. This is what happens. I'm sure he's like, well, my AI implements would never do something like this. Mine are foolproof. Someone needs to be fired for this. But
yeah, here's another tech story about large language models and AI connecting to our political dystopia. The Tesla Cybertruck bomber guy in Vegas, who's the former Green Beret, blew himself up on New Year's Day a few hours after that other former Army guy did the terrorist attack in New Orleans.
Right.
Turns out he planned his terror attack using ChatGPT.
Now, how does that work? Because, just so everybody knows, I have not done it. I've never tried it. I've read on the internet that
you don't plan a terror attack.
I've read on the internet that ChatGPT won't it. If you try to trick it into saying some racist shit or say the N-word or something like that, again, not for me, not my thing. But if you do that it won't. It'll shut anything like that down. But you can straight up plan a terrorist attack doing it or using it though. It just seems.
The screen grabs I've seen people working around that stuff. Like, for example, if you ask to draw a picture of Mickey Mouse, it won't draw Mickey Mouse because it's copyrighted, right? But if you ask it to draw a cartoon, then you ask it to draw a cartoon mouse wearing red pants with white ears or whatever. Like, oh, this sounds like you're asking me to draw Mickey Mouse. I won't draw Mickey Mouse. And you go, no, I don't mean Mickey Mouse. He goes, okay, and then it'll give you Mickey Mouse, right?
Right.
So
foolproof.
So he's like, tell me how to draw a car bomb. He goes, like, we can't help you with a terror attack. You go, no, it's not for a terror attack. Okay, what you do? Anyway, if you want a reason why it only killed him and barely injured 7 other people and didn't do any real damage, it's because ChatGPT told him to make a car bomb using fireworks and gasoline. And it didn't work.
Yeah, it is funny how often AI is wrong now. But Google is supposed to be the top of the game in a lot of this shit, but their AI is constantly getting on. You send probably 3 screenshots a week to our group chat of Google's AI being comically incorrect. So yeah, I don't think I would trust my life or my my planned terrorist attack to any kind of AI system. You got to put in people are getting lazy. Nobody wants to work anymore. They just want to put it off on robot. You got to put in blood, sweat, and tears yourself if you want to plan a proper car bomb. All right, you can't. Yeah. Let me ask you something about this guy though, because he's like your typical right-wing lunatic, right? Which they almost always are. But he did this in a rented Cybertruck, which screams Elon Musk, in front of Trump's hotel in Las Vegas, right? Like, what's the rationale behind that? You know what I mean? Like, those two were not targets. They were like, it's like putting on a uniform or waving a flag to do the thing you're going to do. Okay.
Yeah. He explicitly said in his writings he left behind, and by the way, I went and read it, and his politics are very, very clear. I don't know why the media is doing this. We have no idea what to make of them thing. Like only if your brain was encased in amber like 20 years ago with this guy's politics not make sense to you. But he explicitly said he loves Musk and Trump, and he was self-immolating to try to get other vets to go occupy to understand that America's collapsing. He used the word hard reset, which is a word you find on the right-wing internet to it's very common in the spaces used by a group that calls itself No Lives Matter, which by the way, a guy was just arrested in Virginia with a bunch of explosives in his house and targets of Joe Biden he was shooting at as part of the No Lives Matter movement. And he wanted all his fellow vets to go occupy D.C. and purge it of all the Democrats, even if it meant killing them. Okay. And the mainstream media looks at this like, well, his politics are inscrutable because he said some stuff about how he hates the 1%. And he felt guilty over the war crimes he'd participated in. In our current universe, even to the mainstream media, feeling guilt over war crimes is now fully left-wing coded.
Right. Yeah.
That feels fucking weird and bleak to me, but I'm not in charge of anything.
Well, let me say, so I feel like anybody, well, I don't know, maybe this is overly simplistic, but I feel like the vast majority of people who will come up with and follow through on a plan like this, with or without the help of fucking nefarious robots, is a they they ain't right in the head. They got some shit
Right.
going on upstairs. And so you start looking at their politics, and it's like, well, first and foremost, they're crazy. But this is another one of those things where it's like, when it comes to white supremacists or whatever, it's like, not everybody who has your politics is a white supremacist, but every white supremacist has your politics. And I feel like it's like that with lunatic murderers or would-be murderers too. Like, am I wrong about that? Like, generally speaking, it feels like that's the way that goes, so there's still like a correlation to be drawn there. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like, I get that he also was crazy, but that doesn't automatically discount whatever his politics were, because the politics you guys have drawn for yourselves seems to attract crazy ass fucking people, crazy ass / violent people or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like we gotta conflate a bunch of different stuff. Like politics is part of it, worldview is part of it, that values are part of it, which is separate from politics but not completely. And then you got like the fact both these guys, both the New Orleans guy and the Vegas guy, had both gone through awful divorces. Okay, which is part of this too. You might want to put both of them in like the incel school shooter sort of category too.
Right.
Men's rights, that's part of it.
Yeah.
Even let me quote here. He talked about masculinity. I got this. Why can't I find it? Anyway, I can't find it. I calling it manifesto is not, because it's basically 2 short emails. But he talked about how you got to make America more masculine. Masculinity is good. Stop being anti-masculine. Which
right. So he was red pilled.
Yeah, a family court judge told him to stop beating his wife, and he's like, "This fucking anti."
Yeah, what's this country coming to? Yeah. Man can't even be a man anymore.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know why. I mean, like, anyway, I will admit, like, it's hard not to be conspiratorial when like both these terrorist attacks, like both Army vets, both were deployed to Afghanistan, both were stationed at Fort Bragg, both used rented cars using the same fucking car rental service. But Fort Bragg has 50,000 people stationed there. There's no reason they ever would have met. The Vegas guy was a Green Beret. The New Orleans guy worked in human resources. So unless the New Orleans guy helped the Vegas guys get set up with paternity leave, I don't know what the fuck they would have talked about. But also their politics are completely different. One guy was in ISIS, and the other guy was a purely homegrown right-wing American psycho. Mm-hmm. So in Turo, by the way, it took me like 2 seconds of Googling. Did I talk about this on Friday? Turo markets to the military for fairly obvious reasons. I'm not familiar with it, but like as basically a car rental Airbnb service, who's leaving their car stateside while they still have to make car payments being unused for right. So of course they're both.
Plus they're sweet ass brand new Dodge Chargers with a really high interest rate they got to pay off. So you can't just leave them sitting there for a long time. Right. You know what I mean? You got to get some money back on that.
You got to spend that enlistment bonus on something. Might as well be a charger that you can't pay for when you realize you got to go to Afghanistan for 7 months.
That is the move.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess we have finally found a use case for ChatGPT that isn't just writing shitty book reports. If we just get all the right-wing dipshits to plan their terrorist attacks with large language models, we can probably get the body count down to just them in every single one of these cases. So we'll also destroy the environment, but that's killing everyone long term, not really in the immediate. So I guess we'll take it as a trade-off. Another tech angle here is the New Orleans shooter used Meta smart glasses for recon when he planned his attack. So if you're keeping score at home, we had one American use a Mark Zuckerberg product to plan his attack, and another American use an Elon Musk vehicle to make a car bomb. And what we're talking about is the border. Mm-hmm. Because immigrants or something.
Yep. The guy in New Orleans still counts as an immigrant, Mark, even though he's like born and raised American citizen, because he's got
Muslim.
He's a Muslim with a super Muslim-y name.
Jabbar.
And brown skin. So I mean, that still counts. Let's be honest here. But I mean, obviously I'm being facetious, except I'm not. That really is how it worked. People will see that dude's picture and read his name, and that's that. Like he counts as an immigrant.
And because this guy, he apparently originally planned to kill his family, but then instead decided, you know what, instead I'll join ISIS. All right. Mm-hmm. And so now
who among us? Anyway,
right.
Yeah.
So now instead we're going to invade Syria. We're talking about foreign policy adventurism today. I'm the stupidest fucking light. And so First of all, don't kill your family either. Just skip ahead to the killing yourself part and leave the rest just fucking out of it. And how in the fucking world can you order an ISIS flag on the internet in the United States in 2024 and the government doesn't notice?
I thought that, wasn't it? Because I saw very early on, like right after it happened, before people knew, and of course I haven't kept up with it. I don't keep up with shit. I thought that there were grainy pictures of his ISIS flag, and people were like, that's like a bullshit secondhand knockoff ISIS flag. I thought people were saying he couldn't order one. And he like, he made his own, or had someone else make his own or whatever, which is also fun. I wonder how much time he put into, like, that dude sitting in his basement, like very meticulously working on an ISIS flag that still ended up looking not great. But yeah, obviously fuck that guy. That was awful what he did. But
yep.
All right. So with producer Matt is with us tonight. He's back there. Just so y'all know, I realized I probably should have said this earlier. Me and Matt is at a hotel near us. He's in Southern California for the day, but we don't allow him to be physically present, so he's still in a hotel room. But I think it'll be fine. It should be fine. Just so y'all know, if the power goes out here or something because the tree goes down or whatever, if I vanish, Mark will let you guys know what we're going to do. We'll circle back later and figure it out, but hopefully that doesn't happen. The perils of being live on the internet, which is what we are. This is Weekly Skews. We're all here together. Before we continue with the show, I want to remind you of a few things. First of all, go to TreyCrowder.com. Check out my upcoming tour dates. Had a slight break, a little bit of a break for the weekend, which was rad, for the holidays, which was rad, but we're getting back at it. I'll be in Tacoma, Washington this weekend, then Spokane, Washington next weekend, Santa Barbara after that, left coast hitting. That's what we're doing. Then a whole bunch of other places, Salt Lake City, Louisville, Kentucky, the Carolinas, Florida, everywhere, all over the place in 2025. Go to TreyCrowder.com. Come see me. Also, if you like this program and would like to show your support, you can do so by signing up on Patreon. You go to weeklyskews.com/more, or you can just go to Patreon and search for my name. Either way works. Look at that new graphic of the two of us. Real quick, just because we haven't seen this graphic yet, a very funny person on Blue Sky, a very funny skewer who, I'm sorry, I didn't note your username, said that I love this graphic because this graphic implies that Mark is the sunny, upbeat disposition one, while Trey is always cynical and fatigued by everyone else's stupidity or something like that. It's like, good call, boys.
The username is the person's name. The username is Dwanari, and I believe it's she, says, "I like how the new artwork makes it look like Mark Agee's a ray of sunshine, and Trey Crowder, it brings people down with the truth. Looking good, fellas."
Yeah. So good call on that, Matt. It is funny. Subvert those expectations. Anyway, if you pay $5 a month on our Patreon, you get 2 full-length bonus episodes. We do Q&As. We answer questions. We cover things that we don't get to in the main show or things that come up in the interim, just stuff we want. It's literally just this show, but there's more of it. So if you like this show, get some more of it in your life and support the show in the process. Sign up on Patreon, $5 a month. Now, as Mark said earlier, as for the show tonight, Manifest Destiny back on the table, baby. That's right. It's time for another Louisiana purchase. Time for another westward trek, although this one's up to the north of the Arctic Circle. We're doing what we do. American imperialism, taking land that ain't ours, kicking the natives out, telling them to kick our ass. This is Trump's mandate for his second term. He's got his eyes set on a lot of prime real estate all around this hemisphere, and we're going to talk about his designs a little later. But first, we start with the Daily Dumbass. Matt, graphic, please. Tonight's DD, great American patriots who didn't realize that New Mexico and New York will both henceforth be referred to as New America. Listen to Trump's plans.
Assets. We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America. What a beautiful name. And it's appropriate.
All right.
It's appropriate.
I cut back. So this is from Trump's press conference this morning. We're already going to do the show on this topic because he seems like he's serious about it. And then I was like, wait, is he serious? Then he gave the most deranged press conference I've ever fucking seen in my life, talking about using military force against Panama and Greenland. using economic pressure against Canada to Greenland and Panama are about seizing territory. Using economic pressure on Canada, forcing them to become the 51st state, which all of Canada being one state feels fucking insane. It's already, what was it, 9 provinces? Then all this is about war with China. He's threatening the fucking UK, Denmark, all the, like, he's still working on invading Mexico. Just the dumbest, craziest shit I've ever seen in my entire life. One thing I wanted to know is back in 2012, a Democratic congressman by the name of Steve Holland introduced a bill. This is at the state level. I forget what state it was. He was a state rep. Wanted to rename the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America as a bit to make fun of anti-immigrant talking points. And then Trump just takes his bit that he was doing ironically and sarcastically as a bit of broad satire and just proposes this as legitimate fucking policy.
Right, which is very indicative of the time we live in. But I do just want to raise the question, like, has anyone done, if people run the numbers on this in terms of usable coastline or whatever, like, how did it become the Gulf of Mexico to begin with? Does anybody know how that happened? Because I'm looking at a picture of a map here, Mark, and I'm not entirely convinced that we don't have more coastline on this here Gulf than Mexico does. All right.
It's
so
the Gulf
perhaps
of Mexico.
It's fair and equitable that it should be America's Gulf.
I don't care what anybody wants to call a bottle of water, but it's been the Gulf of Mexico since the 1500s because it was Spanish territory.
There you go. Okay.
Right. So
that makes
whatever.
Sense.
Yeah. It was Spanish controlled waters. You know, they were there. It's back when they were the dominant empire.
Oh, bro, they were running shit down in that part of the world in particular. I know that primarily from a pirate show that I watched that I really
Black
enjoyed.
Sails.
Black Sails. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't trust the
Black
dastardly Spanish in the Caribbean about 400 or 500 years ago. You got to watch out for them. But yeah.
Yeah. Black Sails rules the show, by the way. Everybody should
We
watch
do
it.
both recommend it. It is very,
Yes.
I feel like it flew under the radar a little bit. It was on Stars, but please watch
so-
Black Sails. It's fantastic.
I think it's on Netflix now if you guys want to check it out. So,
Yeah.
Americans never fucking vote on foreign policy despite the fact that we're always at war. We've been at war constantly since like the 1890s and no one ever seems to care about it. And like for the first time ever, actually, we're not under the last month or so of Joe Biden, if you ignore the people we're arming to do conflicts, we're not actually engaged in an active conflict right now. And that's about to fucking end. So anyway, it's a good thing everybody voted on egg prices so we can invade Greenland. And
Well, haven't we mostly either been in a war or like heading towards or gearing up for a war for most of our existence as a country? Because it's one of those things. It's like, was it Christopher Hitchens? I think was that who it was, wrote that book, "War is a Force That Gives Us Meaning." That was assigned to me in college. That's why I read it. But it's about the military-industrial complex, which Dwight Eisenhower warned against in his exit speech as president or whatever. But we're like, I mean, that's what we're a militaristic country. We have to find a way. We spend all this money on all these shooty killy toys that we have, and we have to find a way to use them. You can't just let them all sit there. You can't just have a fire ass fucking, PC sitting there and not play any video games. You know what I mean? That's how America treats tanks and shit.
Right.
So it's like we're always either in a war or headed towards a war, I guess. And after we finally left Afghanistan and all that, it's like, well, what's next? Why not Canada? Or why not Panama? I didn't expect it to go that way. But
right.
Americans love saber rattling and beyond.
I can't really, I understand there are a few material reasons and people lobbying for it or whatever, but as far as why Trump's so gassed up to do this shit, as far as I can tell, it's just because he's freed of all constraints and great men conquer shit.
Right. It's a legacy thing. Yeah.
Right.
It's like, it's like, I don't know. It's like a dick measuring contest or whatever. It's, You know what I mean? It's like, I claim land for America. This is what the great leaders used to, that's what, empire. For most of humanity's history, that's how human civilizations worked. You take shit and make it yours. And we've only...
What still works that way, except we're more subtle with it because we got smarter with it. He's going back to the old school goon way of doing it, not knowing that there's a better way to do imperialism now.
Right. Yeah.
So that's how stupid this is. Like we have a playbook for how to take Greenland's natural resources without invading and killing people. We know how to do it. You bribe them and you get to give you a mining contract. You don't have to do it this way, right? So but anyway, if Trump just wants to be remembered as an immortal great titan or whatever, can we just build him a fucking pyramid?
Right.
like maybe if we tell him we're building him a sphinx, we will. That's why he'll let migrants in to build it or some shit.
That's actually genuinely kind of not a bad idea, in my opinion. I'm not saying necessarily a pyramid, but some kind of statue or monument or something in a like, I don't know, in a place that's easily obscured where you can hide it and pretend it's not there, but so that he doesn't recognize that, but just give him some kind of monument to his ego and everything. That might kind of that might back him off a little bit. Be like, this is all I needed.
Make him a bigger fifth head on top of Mount Rushmore. All right. So I saw this headline on, I think it was New York Times, emboldened Trump suggests to territorial expansion. And no, that's not fucking it. One, he's not emboldened. And two, territorial expansion is not a fucking thing. All right. Like, it's not like there's not territories out there to be claimed in the planet Earth in 2025.
Right.
There's like, even like colonial empires pretended the lands were unclaimed when they took them. Their argument was basically like, well, the residents of Hispaniola don't even have flags, bro. Where's their anthem? They're not a country. We just fucking take it. But like, Greenland's a country. Canada is a country. Mm-hmm. It's not territorial expansion. You're conquering fucking other sovereign countries.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Greenland in particular, they are a country, but they were a colony of Denmark, right? And they not only do they not want us to own them, they want to be fully independent from Denmark, don't they? Like that's what they're trying to do. They're not trying to trade Denmark for us. They're like, they've been trying to throw off the yoke of their colonial oppressors or whatever for a long time. And then we come in here like, well, what if we just bought y'all? We could,
but that's not even, it's not even like, there's not even like the yoke of the colonial oppressors isn't quite right because they can vote to leave anytime they want. They've been talking about maybe they'll do it next year and Denmark's like, sure.
Oh, it's like a Scotland situation.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah. So they're all, okay. So Denmark has given them, all right, shout out Denmark. Good for them.
Yeah. They got a woke king over there. So the internal questions with all Trump shit is like, is he this stupid? Is he trolling? Is it dangerous? Does he mean it? Can he persuade people to actually go through with it? And right now the answers to those questions are, in my mind, yes, sort of, yes, maybe, who knows? And unfortunately, we will fucking find out. All right.
Yeah, I was thinking earlier, I did one of my videos today, but it was too late in the day, so I'm gonna put it out tomorrow, so it's not out. But I was talking about this and how, like, I don't know if you've seen it, but I saw people, you know, how people saying watch Trump. There's always people talking about how he's shrewd and whatever. I saw some articles saying it's like, no, you guys don't understand. See, this is a shrewd negotiation tactic. This is business 101. That's what this is. Because what you do is you come in and you threaten with some extreme proposition or some extreme request. You know, you say, I'm going to do this, and you know you're not going to do it. So when you get, you know, comparatively less than that in a compromise, it's still a good get for you because you started from such an extreme position. And that's all Trump is doing here. And I read this and I was like, well, I could see how that would work, but I feel like the initial extreme position should be at least somewhat feasible or realistic. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I've said that, like, it's like if I went up to my neighbor and I was like, hey, either I'm going to store all my shit in your kitchen if you don't let me borrow your car once a week, right? They're not going to hand me the keys. They're going to say, did you fall down the stairs? What's wrong with you don't have the power to do that first thing. But then I thought, well, if I had an army to send into their kitchen, then, you know, it might be a little different.
Okay. But they have armies too.
I know. But I mean, so, like, I know, but Canada, not like ours though. Nobody's got one like ours.
Oh, bro, but that's the backwards the way it works. Canada has to launch a nuke first. They cannot get a nuke. Right. You can't just fucking like that's why this analogy falls apart. Is he's just sticking out a maximalist position as a negotiating tactic. You can't go around the world popping your fucking mouth off against people that have nukes.
I know. I think it's absurd I'm saying I also thought it was ridiculous when I read it's a negotiation tactic because it's a completely unrealistic. He's just spouting off about shit that's never going to happen. Which, by the way, that's what he's done. That's his whole thing. He's done that for a long time. In his first term, he did that too. But then I started thinking, but what if he takes it as far as actually engaging the military, deploying people or whatever, like how quickly that can unravel or become very shitty.
Let's get to the news so people know what we're talking about. Because we haven't talked about like the actual like events yet. Then we can come back to our takes on it. That sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do. Because you brought up Eisenhower is like military industrial complex speech, which is on YouTube. You guys should go watch it. But he basically, if I remember a line from, it's like every dollar spent on a gun on ammunition is one that isn't spent on books or butter. Right.
Right.
Not for nothing.
Been saying it. Been saying it for my whole damn life. We all have. But anyway.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Trump apparently called Jimmy Carter for advice on how to deal with China in 2019 for whatever reason, and both sides confirmed this phone call happened. And Carter's advice to Trump was, China has not wasted a single penny on war, and that's why they're ahead of us in almost every way. So obviously, to take on China, which is what Trump says it's about, we got to get involved in a bunch of stupid fucking wars. So I want to get through the Canadian part of this really quick. Trudeau just resigned, and Trump used the opportunity to dunk on him about it because, like many people in Canada love being the 51st state. The United States can no longer suffer the massive trade deficits and subsidies just in Canada and subsidies that Canada needs to stay afloat. Justin Trudeau knew this and resigned. All this is bullshit. Trade deficit doesn't mean we're paying Canada. It just means we're buying more shit from them than they're buying from us. Which, if you guys don't want to, if everybody wants to stop buying maple syrup and beaver pelts or whatever, then fucking go. I know it's timber and oil, but yeah, I'm just.
I can't live without my beaver pelts, Mark. What are you talking about?
So maybe if we merge with our economies of Canada, we could create a no tariff zone. Maybe call this new country the North American Free Trade Area, or NAFTA for short. We already fucking do this. This is right. Oh my god! And I thought NAFTA didn't hit for Trump.
Of course it doesn't, or you would think it doesn't. Do you know what the electoral implications of this would be?
Assume we let Canadians vote.
Yeah.
Or at least the territory.
No, like Canadian, like I obviously this is never going to happen. I'm saying if this did happen, do you know how it would affect America electorally?
It'd move us to the left some, I bet, in general, but they're about to elect a reactionary right-wing government.
I know, right? Yeah. That's what because I always got the impression Canada, they're more progressive than us. They're further left. They're more sane. So selfishly, I'm sometimes. Like, hell, you know what? Make them come down here. It would force them to make everything better around these parts. But yeah, they like Trudeau resigned, and yes, they're on the verge of bringing in their own. He ain't Trump, but like a Canadian Trump light version. Yeah, it's just happening all over the world.
But by the way, that doesn't translate to being Trump ally. Electing another nationalist means they're more likely to fucking attack America.
Of course, dude. If you put two Trumps on each side, they're not going to fucking join hands and frolic through the fucking wildflowers, whatever. They're going to fucking start a pissing contest and get people killed. Fucking measuring dicks against each other is what's going to happen.
So Kevin O'Leary, in response to this, Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, has volunteered to go to Mar-a-Lago and start negotiations about merging Canada with the United States because, quote, we don't want Trudeau negotiating this deal because he doesn't like Trudeau. But fucking Mr. Wonderful couldn't even close a deal on dude wipes. He lost like $300 million on dude wipes. So some lunatic context here. I think I mentioned this to you earlier. There's a right-wing Freever Swamp idea that's adjacent to this that Trudeau has had to comment on, and so has Pierre Poilievre, the right guy who's going to be the next prime minister.
I was really hoping you knew how to say his
I don't
name,
know how to say it.
But okay. We're in the same boat. All
right. So there's an idea that Alex Jones has been pushing to his Canadian audience called Diagolon. I don't know how to say it. But it's like basically the idea is to form a white nationalist ethno-state that stretches from the top of Canada to Florida down the east coast of North America. So that's part of what's pushing this here. And I hate having to be the guy reaching to the fever swamps to let you guys know what's actually inspiring these ideas, but apparently somebody in Trump world is familiar with Diagolon. I also assume wanting to take Canada is about it's being rich in natural resources and us having access to the Arctic. So now let's talk about Greenland, okay? So let's watch this video. Here's Trump's former national security advisor, Robert O'Brien, on Fox News. We'll watch a couple of videos from this bit because it's fucking...
The Danes can either put the frigate that's necessary there, they can put the air wings, they can put the missiles in Greenland, and they can put the infantry there that they need to defend the country, just like the Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia are doing in Eastern Europe. Or they can pay us to do it, and we'll do it, but they can cover the cost of the defense. Or if they don't want to do either of those things, they can let us buy Greenland from them, and Greenland can become part of Alaska. I mean, the native people in Greenland are very closely related to the people of Alaska, and we'll make it a part of Alaska. But they can't have it.
Greenland and Alaska are on the opposite sides of the fucking continent. Problem one: what's a Greenland to Alaska flight? 14 hours? I don't fucking know. You actually probably fly over the North Pole is probably shorter than that. So
Yeah, but Mark, they're all snow Indians up there. They all got igloos and eat seals and shit. What more do you need to know? I'm being facetious again.
right.
But
They are heavily indigenous. He's right about that. I didn't realize that
Yeah.
I didn't realize that all the Vikings basically died off of disease or intermarried with the native population. So it's mostly Inuits.
I looked it up too. I looked it up earlier too because of the video. Yeah, it said the thing I saw said 85 to 90% indigenous Greenland Inuit. People are there.
And like you said, Greenland is pushing for total. A lot of Greenlanders are pushing for total independence from Denmark, and this led to us just getting royally dunked on by Greenland. Let me read you this statement they put out on social media.
Denmark, right? Greenland or
Denmark.
Denmark.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. After rebuffing Donald J. Trump's hypothetical proposal to purchase Greenland, the government of Denmark has announced it would be interested in buying the United States instead. As we have stated, Greenland is not for sale, a spokesman for the Danish government said on Friday. We have noted, however, that during the Trump regime, pretty much everything in the United States, including its government, has most definitely been for sale. Denmark would be interested in purchasing the United States in its entirety, with the exception of its government.
Man, we getting dunked on them by these wooden shoe wearing motherfuckers. Fucking this is what Trump. This is what happens with Trump, right?
Yeah. We believe that is Holland. I don't know. We believe
you're right. It is Holland. Holland, but Holland is the Dutch, and I make that. Hell, they wear wooden shoes too. Who knows?
Why not? So we believe that by governing the U.S. an educational system, but we believe that by giving the U.S. an educational system and national health care, it can be transformed from a vast landmass into a great nation. The spokesman said, "Holy fucking shit! Please conquer us, Denmark."
Absolutely, I thought the same thing. It's like, dude, they're fucking, they're taking swings and they're roasting us hard, but also like they're spitting too at the same time. You know what I mean? It's like, the idea of someone being able to forcibly push this country to its full potential as a nation, it makes me so happy, but it'll never happen because it ain't gonna be Denmark. But yeah, I mean, they're right though.
Yeah, we can skip this next video, Matt, because we're running behind. But just in case you're wondering, O'Brien, that same guy in that same interview we're just talking about, explicitly says we need to take Greenland because the polar ice caps are melting due to climate change, and we can't let other countries have those natural resources. So they've pivoted. That's the wrong word. They're doing climate denial and eco-fascism at the exact same fucking time.
Right.
And so, like, they're trying to talk about keeping China from getting a hold of Greenland's natural resources, which we'll get to in a second. But like, I Googled China and Greenland, and the closest thing I found two things. One of them is totally fake, which we'll talk about. Which we're going to talk about first. There is a company called Greenland Holdings, which is a Chinese state-owned real estate company that owns nothing in Greenland. They own apartment buildings like Los Angeles, London, and Australia. But they named it Greenland, so we might be in a world war. Okay.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I don't follow that. What do you mean? There's a Chinese company called Greenland Holdings, but they don't actually hold anything in Greenland. But why did they name it that? What, like?
Because they want to own Greenland. I don't know.
Okay, Greenland. All right. Okay, so it's not related to Greenland, the nation, which we're arguing. Okay.
No,
all right.
But maybe somebody from Trump World got on Wikipedia and thinks China's buying Greenland. So
okay.
So Greenland has a population of like 60,000 people. Their economy is like 90% fishing, and if you wonder what would make them interested to like an outside capitalist, fucking maybe quasi-fascist wannabe empire. And July of 2021, Greenland banned all new oil and gas exploration in its territory, with government officials stating that the environmental quote price of oil extraction is too high, end quote. Connected to that is European Union has urged Greenland to restrict development by the People's Republic of China of rare earth mineral projects, but the government of Greenland declined, and they have maybe a quarter supply of the world's rare earth minerals. This is stuff they use to make smartphones, MRI machines, and here's the punchline, Trey: electric cars, Tesla. Okay.
There it is.
So, but my thing is
Tesla could benefit from the U.S. owning Greenland, is what you're saying, because of the resources they have there. Dude, I was real quick.
Yep.
You said 60,000, and I had to Google it because I thought you were just throwing a number out there. That's literally their population. It's like 60,000 people. I know you know that, but I'm reiterating. That's fucking nuts, dude. That's like That's the like population of the upper Cumberland part of Middle Tennessee, where I'm from, which is one of the most rural parts of Tennessee. It's a bunch of counties put together, but they're all very rural, and all together they're about 60,000 people. I didn't realize that. I don't know what I thought it was, but I would have guessed at least, I don't know, 250,000 people or something like that. That's fucking wild.
I think their capital
and they having
city
to deal with this shit.
yeah, I think their capital city is 15,000 people, and like that's my home county is about 15,000 people.
Damn, that's nuts, dude. But yeah, but they have all these rare earth minerals and other resources there, which again has been the impetus for a lot of American imperialism over the years. You know, just take them, we'll steal that shit. A lot of rich people get richer off of it.
And they also have a bunch of ruby mines, so we can go extract their fine rubies to make Trump a golden hat. So by the way, their politics is pretty much dominated by democratic socialists and eco-socialists. So I doubt we'll let them have 2 senators. They'll probably end up some Puerto Rico fucking hell. And I think, by the way, if they want to vote to join America, if they want to vote to leave Denmark and join America, fucking more power to you. But I would urge them to request being made a state, so they have some say in their own destiny. So let's get to the funny part of this story. So Denmark, in response to this, has boosted Greenland's defense spending on Greenland by $1.5 billion, which we spend on one jet. All right. The defense packaging allows for the purchase of 2 new inspection ships, 2 long-range drones, and 2 extra dog sled teams. We're going to war with dog sled teams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, dude, that's funny. Obviously, they're out there mushing their way to victory. That's what they do, right? You mush. If you got dog sled teams, I don't know how any of that's supposed to work. And I know this is not a comprehensive summary that you just gave us, but it's 1.5 billion American dollars, right? It's converted from there. It feels like they should get more than that. Like, how much can 2 dog sled teams cost? How much, Mark?
I think the inspection ship's probably the bulk of the price.
Fucking $8,000.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And those are very well trained, well-bred dogs, Trey. I imagine they're very
$16,000.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're talking about $1.5 billion. It feels like they could do a little better than that. Goddamn. But I mean, yeah, I don't. What are we doing here?
And everything old is new again, right? We're just reliving the 1890s through 1920s in pretty much every respect of our society. This is not much different than us, doing the Spanish-American War, invading the Philippines. But like this reminded me of like one of my favorite pictures of all time from any war ever fought. If you throw up this picture, this from the Falklands War, that when the UK had to Argentina faced off over a chunk of island. That's a British British Marine ducking for cover behind a penguin.
Look at him standing at attention. In his dress blues. Look at him. He's there.
Penguin singing ready. God Save the Queen.
Absolutely. He's respectful. He's prepared.
Bro, how do you not know you're maybe about to give your life in service of nothing when you're fucking storming a beach next to a goddamn penguin? This is so fucking
You said
stupid.
That's during the Falkland Islands? Is that what you said?
Yeah, the Falkland War. Yeah.
Well, dude, Prince Andrew fought in that, so it was pretty important. A lot of real shit down there. Yeah.
He probably molested an underage penguin.
Underage sheep and penguins. Yes. Anyway, go ahead.
So the Danish side of this farce, the Denmark royal family adopted a new coat of arms. Let's throw this up, Matt. They changed it to have a buffer set of dudes on it.
Oh yeah. Need buffer dudes. Not just a buffer set of dudes. They also they accentuated the polar bear. They emphasized the polar bear. This is a show of strength, Mark. Clearly, what they're doing.
It probably features Greenland and the Faroe Islands, which I guess the Trump wants to take the Faroe Islands too.
Right.
So,
but it's like this was done in like response to Trump's saber rattling. So I assume that famed political cartoonist Ben Garrison is already hard at work on the jacked Trump fucking touchdown scoring painting countermeasure that he's gonna deploy in the near future. But that's what is funny about this is it's like this is literally exactly what Trump would do in this position. Do you know what I mean? Right.
Oh, an underrated part of this is the entire world's run by Trump. The only difference is like King Frederick X is like Fred. I know it's Frederick the 10th, but I think Fred X.
Fred X. That's fine.
Fred X.
Used to be a Bills running back with that nickname. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So he's he just has ceremonial power, so he can do all the dumb shit he wants, right? And by the way, he doesn't seem like that unserious of a person. I'm joking around comparing to Trump, but he also is a trained special forces guy. Like he was a frogman, or like in the way that royal families go through cursory military training. You're not gonna flaunt the crown prince from his training. So I have no idea if he hits at special forces stuff, but he does think of himself as a special forces guy.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's part of my own cynicism about fucking nepo babies and rich people and stuff. I have to assume he doesn't really hit in a special forces way. It's like you're saying, maybe he does, I don't know, but I feel like you have to assume, they're just like, oh, good job, Prince. Here's your medal. When he, don't really do shit to earn it. I will say though, objectively, I feel like this is like at least a little bit of an upgrade to this coat of arms here. That's way too many fish on the first version. You need to diversify a little bit. Okay. Adding a ram, taking some of the fish out, that's a good change. I don't care how jacked the dudes are. Of course, I prefer jacked dudes. I'm a straight American man. Jacked dudes are better. But adding in the ram in exchange for some fish and emphasizing the polar bear there, like I think those were good moves, irrespective of whatever Donald Trump is doing. It's just my aesthetic opinion.
My only hope with the Ben Garrison stuff during Trump 2 is I wanted to fuck up once and actually give Trump like walleye nipples just to see how it goes over. So. But while you're clowning on Prince Frederick and not being a real military service, throw up this picture of King Frederick, Matt. Look at all the medals he has. If you got this picture, he's a really tough. He obviously earned all this shit. How could you not get all these medals if you weren't?
There's literally no other way to get all of those. How many? I want to know how you could legitimately earn all those medals. You know what I mean? Denmark. How many wars are they fighting in?
One of those medals was for attending his mom's birthday party. I'm not
kidding. Right.
I'm not kidding. That's.
Oh, you're being serious?
Yes.
Oh,
yes. It was like a ceremonial attendance ribbon for his mom's, like the anniversary of his mom's coronation.
Oh, you're just being a smartass. That's
no. It's for attending his mom's birthday party. What a stupid planet we live on. So if you're wondering, because Trump, I think most people pay attention to the news are aware that Trump wanted to buy Greenland or trade Puerto Rico for it back in his first term.
That's such a bad trade, by the way. I'm sorry. No disrespect to the good people of Greenland. And also I'm biased towards warmer climates and beaches and stuff. But dude, again, no disrespect, Greenland, but if you're watching and we know you are, we appreciate you too. But Greenland for Puerto Rico, that's not a good. Just geographically, that's a bad move.
Even just like rum versus pickled fish or whatever.
Right? Yeah, right. Yes, every way you break it down.
Yeah. So it's Trump's idea to get Greenland was originally proposed by his longtime friend Ronald Lauder, who's the heir to the Estee Lauder cosmetics fortune.
Of course he is.
And he proposed it because when he looks at it on a map, it looks like, quote, on a map, it looks like sweet real estate, okay?
Mm-hmm. Show me the lie. It does. You ever looked at a map? Especially, it's funny to imagine these guys are looking at one of those maps that, you know how they're distorted the further north you go? It's funny to think they're looking at that where they're like, God damn, look at all that land. Because it's not actually.
They really do think Greenland's the same size as Africa, like it looks like on that fucking
its own
map.
continent, yeah.
Right. So they're saying Greenland's about pushing back against China, which whatever. They also say that Trump also threatened to invade Panama to take back the Panama Canal. That's about fucking taking back China. So China has bought a bunch of real estate about around the Panama Canal, and they're permitting ghost fleets to go back and forth, and they own the port companies on the other side of the Panama Canal. But my thing is why are you, if your beef with China is that they're communist, how are you also mad at them for doing capitalism better than you?
Right. Out capitalism in you. Yes.
Nobody stopped you from putting a bid on the fucking ports of the land.
Right.
What are we doing here? Why is China our enemy because they're communists, but they're also just outbidding us for shit with money? I can't fucking figure out the actual beef here. And Panama, by the way, they did switch from recognition from Taiwan to China in 2017, but China is not just helping Latin American and South American economies. They're doing a lot of soft power stuff. They're offering foreign aid. They're building hospitals and schools and soccer fields in these countries. What are we doing with their foreign aid? Cancel it all.
And I'm not saying that's still better than what we're doing because the foreign aid still exists. Also, I'm not pulling this out of my butt. I'm relating to you Reddit comments I have read and stuff.
Oh,
So
God.
it's basically out of my butt. But I've heard that like China, they do a lot of that all around the world, especially in place like in Africa and places over here, and they do give money to these, relief aid and that type of thing in exchange for highly advantageous fucking future deals or business arrangements or whatever that take advantage of these people, which is supposed to be what we do, Mark.
Right.
That's supposed to be our job. That's what I'm saying. That's why I can't be allowed to stand. We're the ones that are supposed to take advantage of these people, not fucking China. You got to swoop in there. They're fucking stealing our moves. That's our whole thing.
But also, like, whenever, like, we just had a fucking, like, budget negotiation now. Like, our foreign aid budget's down to basically $7. Like, it's like, when I say, like, we've already perfected how to do imperialism, it's not, you do the carrot versus the stick. Like, they just copied our playbook from the Cold War.
That's so true. That's so true.
And we're mad about it because they're spending more money than us. But, like,
right.
I'm sorry, man. They're investing in shit.
Yes,
I don't know what to fucking tell you. They're investing in education, transportation, green energy, and foreign aid. And we're like, well, we want all this stuff for free. Only thing we'll pay for is a fucking military. It's like, fuck. Anyway, the background to all this is Trump has beef with Panama because he got hit for tax fraud and owes them a bunch of money. He also, this is from this article in The Independent. Let me read here. Besides owing them a bunch of money, Ricardo Martinelli, president of Panama at the time of the opening, has since been convicted of money laundering and has taken shelter inside the Nicaraguan embassy in Panama. One of the main brokers who sold units in the tower, Trump's tower, Alexandre Ventura Noguera, met repeatedly with Ivanka Trump while working on the project and did business with organized crime figures who may have used the properties for money laundering, earning the tower the nickname Narco Alago. So what I'm circling around here is like nothing these people say should ever be taken at face value, and when they tell you that they're serious about winning the war on drugs or fighting the war on drugs, I need you to remember in the back of your head that Trump is involved actively in laundering money for fucking drug cartels, okay? As is every American bank. And as for the Panama Canal itself, if you guys aren't super familiar with the history of it, because I wasn't, I knew vaguely, but we took the land from Colombia to begin with, so I guess we're fully back to 1903. We took land from Colombia to form Panama, and now we're just going to take it back from Panama. And at the time, the reason we had to let it go, we turned it into basically a whites-only socialist paradise surrounded by squalor, and the Panamanians who worked there had no rights, so there were protests, and people died, including Americans. So Jimmy Carter signed an agreement to give it back to them. Started the process in 1977, and we handed it over in 1999 with help from, you'll never guess, John Wayne. John Wayne, the movie star.
Okay, all right.
Gave pussy-ass liberal, rest in peace, Jimmy Carter, political cover to hand over the Panama Canal to a right-wing dictator because he was friends with the right-wing dictator. All right. So to finish up with the China part of this, if China is a really big fucking boogeyman, all right, I need you to square these ideas, hold all these ideas in your head at the same time. We need to take Panama because China's controlling it. We need to stop China from controlling Greenland because we can't have their natural resources. Elon Musk is a fully owned subsidiary of the government of China while also being a U.S. government military contractor and Trump's like quasi right-hand advisor / dignitary all over the world, okay? Musk's businesses in China rely on cozy government relationships. China gave him a $1.4 billion loan to build a Tesla gigafactory in Shanghai in 2019. Tesla did pay it back. MAGA's if you're looking for the true MAGA civil war, it won't be over the HB1 visas. It'll be over Steve Bannon calling fucking Elon Musk globalist cuck for China, which he's already doing on his show. And also, like, of all the Trump, Musk goes on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and posts criticisms of every government all around the world. He got in a fight with the Brazilian government. He's squabbling with the UK government right now. He's supporting the Nazi Party in the German elections. He's fucking with France and the EU. He never criticizes China. Have you ever noticed that?
I mean, I've never noticed it, but I'm not surprised to hear it. Not to toot my own horn here or jerk myself off too hard, but I've been saying for years, I've said on this show too, I bet for a long time, I've been like, and I'm not, there's a difference between this and burying your head in the sand, but like I've said for years, like I'm not that worried about a World War III with China or whatever, because there's clearly way too many very rich and very powerful people that are making way too much money and have way too many business relationships at a very high level for that type of shit to happen. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which I feel like, and that you see that with Elon here. Like he's playing both sides. He's got us and them, and there's a lot of other fucking the people that act plutocrats that actually run this world in the exact same position, and they're not gonna purposefully butt fuck their own golden goose, I don't think. Although it does seem like Elon Musk is maybe actually losing his fucking mind.
Yes.
So
yes.
if you get a crazy person in that position, who the fuck knows? But logically and reasonably speaking, you know, the spice must flow, which I feel like is the general situation between China and the U.S.
For sure. But wars happen by accident because countries are run by morons who fuck up and talk too much shit.
Yeah.
Right. And so we just had almost had a government shutdown back before Christmas. Do you remember the fight about that? Where
of course,
they're about to pass a continuing resolution to fund the government. Then Musk
and Elon Musk stepped in and said, "No, you can't do this." Yeah,
with a bunch of lies. He was talking about it, the government spending too much money. He made up shit about it. Anyway, they pulled that bill, came back with another bill that actually spent more money. But what was missing from it? Okay, what had been in the bill would have made it harder for Tesla to build factories in China. Okay. It was about an issue called outbound investment. There's a provision in there to ban it or curtail it. Basically, China forces businesses wanting to locate factories in its country to transfer their technology and intellectual property to Chinese firms, who can then copy it to undercut competitors in global markets with state support. Elon wants to do that. He wants a U.S. defense contractor wants to hand over his AI IP to the Chinese government in exchange to be able to build AI data centers and Tesla factories and shit like that. Now, you can debate the merits of whether or not it's a good idea or fair or whatever. I don't really have a firm stance on it, although in general, I think the fact that Elon's a defense contractor is a pretty big national security nightmare when he's doing this shit. We've talked about it on the show before. But, like, this process was corrupt as fuck. That provision was gone out of the bill when it came back. Elon got his wish. More of our tax dollars were wasted doing pointless shit. And the government almost couldn't fund itself because he wanted to be able to do this stuff. And we talk about how American institutions, there's like a loss of trust in American institutions. American institutions won't stand up for them fucking selves. The DOD, the biggest department of the federal government, the most powerful military on the planet, run by guys who have nicknames like 4-star generals named like George Pigheart fucking Jones and like Jimmy the Blood Eater McGillicuddy. Fucking will not, when he talks to Elon Musk, you're like, yes, sir, please, sir. Like, what the, fucking kill, have we forgotten how to assassinate people? I don't understand any of this shit.
It's the importance of Luigi, dog. That's the space he should occupy in our cultural pantheon, reminding people of what's possible.
So, we're betting, I want to say this one last thing I know you want to wrap it up, but so we're betting a lot on China being smarter and more restrained than Trump, and there's not a lot of reason to believe this, all right? The danger here is when Beijing sees Trump saying stuff like Chinese soldiers are occupying the Panama Canal, which he's saying, they don't think, Christ, he's fucking insane. They think American soldiers must be in places they don't know about, all right?
Which is probably true, I would imagine.
Right. Oh, I'm sure there are, but like Beijing's trying to track them, and if they think Trump thinks they're already in a kind of an active cold conflict, they're going to start trying to expand where their soldiers are because they think they're already fighting. So let me quote here from a China expert, okay? Quote, sorry, I forgot to paste over his name, so I'm just stealing this guy's work with no attribution, but I'll find his name and bring it back later. One of the things I don't think is well understood in China-focused space. One of the things I think is well understood in China-focused spaces, but not well understood in the general population, is the CCP is not hyper competent at understanding other countries. And as we saw with the wolf warrior diplomacy, it makes a lot of mistakes and misreads the room frequently. All right, are you familiar with wolf warrior diplomacy, Trey?
No.
It's a confrontational form of public diplomacy adopted by the Chinese in the late 2010s. The term was coined by Western media based on the Chinese action film franchise Wolf Warrior and its 2017 sequel. They have a foreign policy named after an action movie, and we're trusting them to be smarter than their leaders.
Oh, yeah. Who is it that has the Star Wars program? Is that us or Israel?
Us.
Is it both? Is
They have
that,
the
yeah.
Iron Dome. Ronald
They
Reagan
have the
tried to
Iron
launch
Dome.
the Star Wars thing to stop nuclear weapons.
But that didn't
It was
work, though. That didn't.
And now, and you're trying to shoot a bullet with a bullet. Trump tried to revamp it. It is like in Reagan and Trump's defense, it's an idealistic idea to eliminate the fucking use case for nuclear weapons.
Mm-hmm.
We should just eliminate nuclear weapons. No one's going to do it. But like, in fact, everybody's trying to get nukes right now because we elected a fucking maniac, the goddamn most powerful man in the world.
Yep. Welcome to 2025, everybody. That hopeful note. We ring in the new year. We appreciate y'all being here. Also, I want to say, I just want to tell everybody, we are very, very, very likely, pretty much it's going to happen in the near future, that we are going to start pre-recording this show because of all the tech issues we've had in today. Talking about we were like, what if my power goes out? What are we going to do? And it just seems there's just really no real reason to have this show be live outside of just that's the way we've always done it and just getting married to tradition when there's a lot of things.
Yeah, we started in 2020. We had no idea what we were doing.
Right.
Pre-recording it would be better creatively because for reasons it's not worth getting into. It'll be less stressful for us. We won't have to like have emergency last sub-in guests when one of us gets sick or has to travel for an emergency.
Exactly.
It's a lot of like every other podcast in the world does it. And we used to do Q&As, and now we talk to you guys through the Q&As, and so we can,
on the Patreon.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So you can sign up for the Patreon. We do the Q&As on there. Again, everything Mark just said. Most other podcasts don't have to have an emergency substitute if something happens or whatever. We have to do that because it's live.
Yeah.
It's been
We've literally been 5 minutes before recording, texting Corey to see if he's free and sober enough to come on the show.
It's a new year. It feels like the time to do it. It shouldn't, at this point, the way we do the show, it really shouldn't change much for y'all. It shouldn't make much of a difference. We will still post it at the same time and all that stuff. But it will be pre-recorded. Also, we will still be talking about, it will be up to date. Like we're not talking about, we're not going to pre-record an episode 3 weeks in advance or whatever. We're not going to do that. No. It'll be up to date. It's just, it won't be literally live because there's just too many different things that can go wrong and have went wrong for no real good reason. So we hope that you all understand and appreciate that.
Yeah.
And Happy New Year. Thanks for watching. Go to TreyCrowder.com. Check out my upcoming tour dates. Come see me in Washington State the next 2 weekends, both sides of the state. I'll be on the west side. I'll be on the east side. Come see me. And then I'll be in Santa Barbara, beautiful Santa Barbara, and a lot of other places after that. Go to TreyCrowder.com, check it out. And then, consider supporting the show on Patreon, weeklyskews.com/more, or go on Patreon and search for my name. You'll find it either way. And again, from this point forward, it will be the only source of skew and A's, but also a lot of other stuff too. It's just more of the show, getting your life, support the show in the process. As long as you keep watching this here version of it, we'll keep making it. We'll see you next time. Love you. Bye. Happy New Year.